Yeah, Coach, as we move now into the preparation for week 6 of the season, what is it that you've been most satisfied with this team so far?
You know what? I think our ability, we talk about that 1-0 mindset, our ability to keep the blinders on, stay focused on the task at hand. There's always noise outside, whether it's good noise or bad noise. And the message to our guys not to listen to that stuff and to stay focused on us and just the progress and the improvement week to week because we've been able to do that. Been pleased with just the mindset and the growth of our football team, throughout the season. I think it's a continued upward trajectory, if you will. So I've been pleased with that.
Is that a leadership thing, the 1-0 mantra, being able to take that week to week?
I think so, 100%. You look to your captains and your seniors to be the example and how they work and how they react and respond to things that happen during the course of the season. And it's the messaging from the coaches, but it's also you got to go down to the players, and they have to talk about that, and they have to live that and be the example of that. But I think they've done a good job in regards to that.
What have you seen in Jackson Campbell's game that has helped him take it up to the next notch?
Yeah, I was really pleased with the way he played Saturday. I thought he made tremendous improvement on some things that he didn't do well the week before that we addressed. And he's got a chance to be a really, really good player for us. And the more detailed he becomes, and he's a guy that plays our style of football. He's also a guy that wants to make every play. He's got to understand that doesn't have to do that. Just do your 1/11th as well as you can do it. And I thought he took a lot of pride in doing that Saturday. And if he'll do that, he'll just continue to get better and better and make the plays that we need him to make.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
That first sack was a heck of a play, dumping over the offensive lineman and then the sack.
Yeah, both sacks, he made really good plays.
Right, he did. Wags.
Well, can you just kind of talk a little bit more about, as you try to build this program, this is a huge step forward. This is a team that you hadn't beaten in Colorado Springs since 2012. Long before most of the people that are here now are even around. And, it's just your first leg of the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy. You only won it twice since 2014. So can you talk about just how big of a step forward this is for the program? This is something you can really build off, don't you feel?
Yeah, 100%. It was a really big win for us Saturday, and you can say our force is a little down this year and all those kind of things, but the bottom line is it was an academy game, a CIC game on the road in a really tough environment that I thought our kids handled really, really well. And we talked about it being a statement game for us, and I thought we made a statement, and I thought we handled ourselves the right way. I thought we prepared the right way. So yeah, it's a big win for us, and every week becomes more and more important, as we move forward in the season. And like I said to Scott earlier, just our ability to transition and put the past game behind us and learn from it, grow from it, and move forward. I think we've done a good job of that this year, and I expect our kids will continue to do that.
When you're having success, and like this past weekend, you played pretty well on both sides of the ball. Is it hard to come up with something to criticize, or I don't want to say criticize, but to make the guys understand we can be way better, and this is how how do you know that? Because right now they got to feel like, hey, we're killing people. We're winning by X points to X points. We're legit. We're good. How do you bring them down and tell them we can get better here, we get better there?
Yeah, I think you simply cut on the film and you watch it with them and you show them. As coaches, we live in a world of correction all the time, and you want to create confidence. You want to build you guys up. You also have to address the things that we need to get better at. And listen, there's plenty of things that we can do better, that we're going to need to do better moving forward. And it's nice to win and be able to build off of that. But there's some things that we got to get fixed and corrected and get better at. And our players know that. I think that gets them excited, because you win a game like we did Saturday, and you come out of it and say, hey, look, there's still a lot of things that we can do better here. And that we're going to have to do better moving forward. And I think our players embrace that. You want to grow from a win. and learn from a win just like you do from a loss and a failure. And I think our kids take that approach every week. I think that's been part of the reason why we've had some success.
As for me, before I pass it on to Steve Wino, the kicking game, if that's a close game, you gave away 4 points.
Yeah.
Is that one of the areas you can point to?
Yeah, certainly. I think there's a lot of areas we can point to. And, the week before Nate hit a 45 and 46, you're really pleased there. But obviously can't miss PATs. That's critical. And, bad operation there on the last one. Those, you're right. In close games, those are critical points for us. And Nate's had a little bit of an issue with his quad, and we're kind of working through that right now. And this would be a good, having a bye week here, Wags, for him to kind of heal up and recover a little bit. And I think that's been bothering him. I think it was bothering him Saturday. And and if that's the case, then we got to get the next man up. But I think this bye week will help him in regards to that. But he's been pretty consistent. I got a lot of confidence in Nate, and I know he'll bounce back.
Just real quick to be sure before I pass it off, was the missed field goal the result of a bad snap and not a bad kick?
No, excuse me. I meant the operation in general. No, I think the snap and the hold was fine. I think it was the kick. We were off on that.
Air Force was credited with a block on that too. I believe someone got a hand on it.
Yeah, the kick came out really low.
Yeah.
My son could have blocked that one.
Steve Wino, Associated Press.
Thanks, Scott. Brian, Scott Wyckoff asked you earlier about kind of what makes you more satisfied. Is there anything about your team's success so far that surprised you? Is there anything that when you're in camp in August that you're like, I didn't know we were going to be this good at this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think not that it's a huge surprise, Steve, but I think the play of Blake Horvath, he's playing at an extremely high level, but I'm super pleased with that. I wouldn't say it's a surprise, though. But no, I think our ability to score points the way we have has been great, and I knew we were going to be a much improved offense based on what I saw during spring football and fall camp. Maybe not as improved as we have been, if that makes sense. And like I said earlier to Wags, I think there's so much better, so many things we can do better, on both sides of the football, including offensively, which is exciting. But I'm pleased with a lot of things. I wouldn't say I'm shocked by anything, but certainly pleased with, to be good here, our quarterback needs to be a really good player. And he has been. And I think he's been exceptional, not just as a player, but as a leader. The way he's handled himself, just really, really pleased and proud of Blake.
And you guys are on the verge maybe of being ranked in the top 25. How do you think your players have handled sort of the success so far? And you mentioned kind of keeping them on an even keel. Like, how do you think they've handled it? And is there a balance, whether it's a coaching staff or players, in terms of enjoying it a little bit and appreciating it, but also not getting too high?
Yeah, Steve, I think they've handled it really well. You want your kids to be confident. You don't want them to be overconfident. You want them to be humble. And I think this is a humble group. But it's a hungry group. It's still a group that has a chip on its shoulder, which I love. But we want to be significant in the landscape of college football here. And I don't worry about rankings, whatsoever. I could care less. But at the same time, that's some validation, for your players and the success that they've had. And you want to be relevant. You want to be significant, and that's some external validation. If that makes sense. And so I think it's good, but you go back to not listening to the noise, not get caught up in all that stuff, because it doesn't matter. It's still early in the season. We're only 5 games in, and we've got some big ones coming up. And our guys know we got to keep working. We got to keep getting better as the season goes to accomplish things that we want to accomplish. And so that's been the way that they've attacked things every week, and hoping that they continue to do that. And I think they will.
From week to week, how impressive you've been on your team of kind of stepping on the gas and kind of not letting opponents back into games and kind of continuing to play all 4 quarters as the season's gone on.
Yeah, pleased. I think we still got to learn to play with the lead sometimes. I don't know. We've always got that killer instinct, and when we've got people down, we got to keep the foot on the gas and keep our foot on their throat, so to speak. And when you're a team that hasn't won a lot, that's not an easy thing to do, and we're learning how to do that. But it's always about the standard. It doesn't matter what the score is. Doesn't matter who we're playing. It's always the next play mentality. But then we got to learn to finish people a little bit better than we have. But I thought last week we were able to do that. I thought last week we played complementary football as well as we have, all year. And so I was excited about that.
Yeah, Wyckoff.
Coach, there's so many moving parts behind the scenes with a football program. How important was it, the job that Greg and his equipment team did with games back-to-back in Birmingham and then in Colorado Springs, making you guys comfortable and the team ready to play with all that they had to do?
Yeah, I thought G and his staff did a tremendous job. We've always got everything that we need. Everything's always ready to go. It's something that I forget. I don't ever have to worry about that. He's a savvy veteran. He's been doing this for a long time, and G's exceptional at his job and does a great job with our players.
What is the recruiting dynamic during a bye week? Is it something that's more focused on the weekend during the week, and how does that play into your bye week?
Yeah, so we got coaches on the road right now recruiting. We'll have coaches out on Friday, so it's a balance of trying to take advantage of the time to get some recruiting done, which is obviously extremely important, and getting a head start on the next opponent, obviously, and then going to work this week and get better at who we are. And we're always going to focus on the fundamentals and getting better in the bye week. It's a great opportunity for us to do some reflecting and some self-scout, and take a hard look at what we're doing on both sides of the football and what our tendencies are, what we need to do a better job of. And I know I'm trying to do a little bit of that right now for our offense. As a defensive guy, looking at it from a different perspective, and so it's a combination of all those things, during the bye, Scott.
And how have you liked that over the last couple of years, being able to take some focus and time to focus on offense and not just be with your blinkers on, beamed in on the defense when you were the defensive coordinator? Yeah,
I love it. It's a pretty good balance for me right now. The time I spend a little more time on defense just because I'm a defensive guy and that's what I've done my entire career. But it's fun watching our offense, learning how they coach things, how they teach things, and at times giving them a different perspective, hopefully, and being another head in the room that specializes on the other side of the football. So it's been good. I really enjoy it. Really, all three phases, being involved and being a part of it. And we've got tremendous coaches, on both sides, and it's fun to sit in those meetings and talk about game planning and sometimes give a different view of things.
Have a good bye week.
Thanks, Wyckoff.
Wags.
So on Saturday, Ray Lane had a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that brought them into good field position, led to their only touchdown. He's had 3 or 4 15-yard penalties this year. Face mask. I mean, you got to try to get him a little more disciplined.
Absolutely. And should have taken him out of the game after the penalty. It's on me, and something we're not going to tolerate. Talk to our players all the time about not talking to the other team, not getting involved in the little skirmishes in the course of the game. It's a distraction. It's not who we are. We celebrate together. During the course of the game, our opponent should be nameless and faceless. And that's unacceptable, and he knows that. And moving forward, when those things happen, that player's coming off the field, and I should have taken him off the field on Saturday. And I love Ray; he's been a great player for us, but that's stuff's unacceptable.
So, kind of, what's the plan this week as far as how do you approach the bye week? Are you going to give them maybe some days off from practice that you wouldn't normally, or just kind of tell me what a general schedule looks like?
Yeah, so we're pretty banged up. Air Force is always a really, really physical game for us, and so we've got to rest and recover a little bit. We'll practice 3 days this week. We'll get a couple of lifts in. For us, like I said earlier, the practices, getting ahead in the game plan for Charlotte, getting back to some of the basics and the fundamentals, becoming a better football team in the bye week is always an objective for me. A chance to reflect, self-evaluate, self-scout each other. And we're 5 games in now, so we have a lot of plays out there and really take a hard look at those things. I mentioned the recruiting earlier. It's a great week to kind of put the foot on the gas in recruiting, get caught up, get out to see some players, do some evaluating. And so it's a mix of several things, Wags. But the bye comes at a really good time, I think, for us. As we get ready for a really good Charlotte team that's really improved. They're 2-0 in the league, and just beat the brakes off East Carolina. Scored 55 points on a defense that I think is pretty good. So got a huge challenge in front of us. Huge opportunity, huge challenge. Excited about this one. This is going to be a good week for us to kind of regather, get better at the things that we do, get a head start, caught up in the head in recruiting. So it's a good time for us to have a bye.
So talking about recruiting, I mean, we've talked about this before, and that Navy's one of the few schools that's not hitting the portal hard to restock its roster, and therefore you're recruiting more high school seniors than most programs these days.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can also say we're 5-0 doing it that way. I would imagine that this hot start has got to be a boon for recruiting, and that you can show kids that we're a developmental program, but it doesn't mean that we can't be competitive in our conference and nationwide.
Yeah, winning is always great for recruiting, Wags. I think what we're doing offensively has opened a lot of kids' eyes that may not have considered Navy, before, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do the things that we're doing. But recruiting's going really, really well. The current class of commits, we can hold on to them, is a really, really exceptional class. So couldn't be more excited about where we're at in the recruiting process here, and obviously winning helps. There's no doubt about it.
So you got Regis Velez back, which helped you with your wide receiver depth.
Mm-hmm.
Croy Myers, you going to get him back anytime soon? Because he's a good player.
Yeah, I hope so. In the last week, game got cleared, and he's coming off the ACL, which is a hard one to get back from. But I think he's feeling a lot better, a lot more comfortable, and took the yellow jersey off of him last week. So excited to get him back, and hopefully be a part of the next game plan. But it's good to have Regis back. I love Regis. He's a bigger body out there at wideout. He's tough, plays our style of football. He's really, really smart, and so it was great to get him back.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Wags.
Wags, Croy did get in the game late in the Air Force game and mop-up duty. He did get in.
I did not realize that. Thank you.
It was late. You were probably right. Steve.
Just one more from me. You guys obviously have a big name opponent coming up later this month in Notre Dame. How do you keep your guys focused, not overlooking Charlotte? Is it just what you brought up of Charlotte being 2-0 in the league, and just all the things that Charlotte's done of reminding players that?
Yeah, our kids aren't thinking about Notre Dame, and you just don't talk about it. It'd be in the very back of their minds if it's anywhere. They know we've got a big one coming up, and we want to win this conference. That's one of our goals, and to do that, you got to beat Charlotte, and that's all we're worried about right now, Steve. Obviously Notre Dame's a big game for us, but I haven't really thought about it, and I don't think our players or our staff have.
Thank you.
All right. Any final questions for Coach? Wags?
Well, as I was writing yesterday, I went and looked up the NCAA stats, and your defense is ranked high as far as points allowed, but you're not high, you're low in total yards. Is that just all skewed by Memphis? I think you're like down around 100 for total yards. Do you feel like overall defensively there's work to be done?
Yeah, certainly. I think points allowed is a more important stat to me than yards, Wags. But I'm stingy when it comes to that stuff, and I know Coach Volker is too. I think the Memphis game obviously skews those numbers a little bit, and we played more snaps, this year than we have in the past. And you look at, we're playing around 70 snaps a game, which is a lot for an academy. In the comparison, I think Army's probably playing about 15 snaps less a game on defense, just to compare it to another academy team. And so we played more snaps, and part of that is, we've been explosive offensively, and part of it is haven't done as good a job of getting off the field on third down. And something we're going to look at this week. And there's things we got to do better defensively. We know that. But the points is the most important thing. We've been really good in the red zone, which I've been pleased with, Wags. But yeah, we're bending it a little bit too much, particularly in the running game, for Coach Volker and my liking. So we'll do everything we can to get that fixed to get better.
So when you mentioned Velez, was that him or a tight end that there was a throw down the sideline that was overthrown? I thought it was a tight end, but was that Regis that ball was intended for? Do you remember that play?
There was one play. It was a tight end in there.
Was
Cody
right.
Howard.
Remember that play, Strauss? Was that?
Yeah, I think the one you're talking about was Regis, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, now that I remember, it was to Norris. It was to Jake Norris.
Oh, it was Norris? Okay. I know which one you're talking about.
Right. Anybody else on the injury front that has been out that could be coming back?
No. Well,
Ira.
Yeah, there you go. And we're still working through that. I think he's supposed to get. He's going to start running this week, and that was the initial hope, is that we'd have him back for the Charlotte game. So I'm kind of be interesting to see where he's at, today and tomorrow. But yeah, hopefully we'll get Ira back